one of the most ubiquitous flavors of fall is pumpkin spice. And I know you see it everywhere. You see it on things like lattes and air freshener and candles and the flavors of absolutely everything out there that you eat in the fall. So I decided it was time for me to make a pumpkin spice sangria. Now, don't think I'm going too weird. There's gonna be no pumpkin in this sangria. Well, not really. It's actually gonna be sangria in a pumpkin. And the flavors that make pumpkin spice so memorable is actually just the spice. So cinnamon, nutmeg, clove, coriander, star anise, vanilla, all of the flavors that also go into flavoring our winter wines. So our winter white and winter red are both mulled wines, so really classic wines that are made with the addition of all of these sweet mulling spices. A little bit of orange peel in there as well, and it makes it so wonderfully aromatic. And every time I taste this wine, it reminds me of fall with all those wonderful fall flavors. So I'm gonna make this sangria, and it's delicious on its own. You can serve it in a pitcher, but this summer, I did a really fun sangria that I made inside of a watermelon. You may remember. This season, I'm gonna do it in a pumpkin. Now, before we start cutting up this pumpkin, I want you to get your fruit ready. And we're not actually going to marinate the fruit in the sangria like you would typically do. Instead, we have some apples, and I've added a little bit of ginger beer and rum to them just to get them macerating and marinating so that those have a lot of the flavors that you would expect in the sangria itself. So let's get started. So first, of course, our pumpkin. Now it's time to figure out where to put the hole. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a spout. So this is going to become a really fun way to serve this. You can see what I have here is this really cool little spout that I got on Amazon for about $20. So pretty straightforward. So I'm going to cut a hole in the pumpkin and insert the spout in the side. So the first thing I'm going to do is figure out where I want it to go. And I'm thinking probably like right about here. So get a drill and go in. Hey, look at that, looking good. So our pumpkin is complete. We'll set this aside and we'll start making the sangria. Now with the sangria, a couple key things here. We're going to be working with our winter red. This is the primary flavor. So think about how big your finished sangria is going to be. And looking at the size of my pumpkin here, I'm probably going to need a couple of bottles. So with your sangria, you're going to be doing sort of a ratio of about, for every bottle of sangria, you'll do a quarter of a cup of rum. And I'm going to use spiced rum, so again, just to really amplify those incredible spiced flavors. And then I'm going to top it off with a little bit of ginger beer, which will give it a nice bright freshness. Now these are ratios that you can adapt as much as you want. If you want something that's much stronger and boozier, use more rum. If you want it to be lighter and fresher, use a little bit more of the ginger beer. You can even cut this with a little bit of apple cider if you want this to be a really fresh, juicy sangria. Now I'm just going to go straight into the pumpkin. So we'll do one bottle of winter red, second bottle of winter red, and then to that, and then I'm going to do my rum. I'm going to do, again, about 2 bottles of red in there, so I'm going to do about a half a cup of rum. Feel free to measure it, or just free pour, whatever floats your boat. And then I'm going to finish it off with the ginger beer. Now, if I was putting this into a pitcher, that would be it. I would just put this into a pitcher along with my fruit and some orange slices. It would look really beautiful. But because I'm serving this out of a pumpkin, the garnishes are all going to come later on. So now when it's time to serve, again, I've got my fresh apples. To that, I've added a little bit of rum and ginger beer in advance. And you can see that they've really macerated nicely. They've gotten really nice and juicy and flavorful. So I'm going to add a spoonful of those to my glass, and I'm going to throw in some spices. Now these spices, you don't want to put these in too far in advance or they'll become really, really strong. So here we are, a little bit of cinnamon and some star anise, and I'm going to finish it off with something super fun, little orange with some cloves on it on the edge. And the most important part, the sangria. And there we have it. Very festive sangria, perfect for your Halloween party. Cheers, witches!